We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet to share these conversations on the Vegan Compass podcast.
We extend our respect to elders past and present, as well as any of our listeners and guests. Hello and welcome to the Vegan Compass podcast, unveiling truths, inspiring change. We are your hosts, Rick Allport and Mackenzie Cross.
From wherever you're listening, please be sure to like and subscribe to support this podcast. Now to the episode. Welcome back everyone to the Vegan Compass podcast. I'm Mackenzie Cross.
And I'm Rick Allport. It's so great to be here with you all today for our News of the Week episode. We've got a pretty packed show with everything from victories in animal rights to some really heartbreaking news. We're here to guide you through it all.
Today we'll be navigating through the ups and downs of the animal rights world. We'll touch on some disturbing instances of animal cruelty, but also celebrate some inspiring wins that keep us hopeful.
And while we start with some heavy stories, we promise to leave you on a positive note. So let's dive right in.
I wish we could skim over the sad news, but it's important to address the reality. King Kirk, a racehorse deemed the favourite for the Golden Slipper, has drowned in what's being described as a freak pool accident at Randwick Racecourse. These so-called freak accidents are a direct result of this brutal industry. Horse racing must be stopped.
Yeah, Mackenzie, it's heartbreaking. Horse racing is a cruel industry that leads to countless horrific deaths on and off the track. From a young age, they're subjected to rigorous training regimes, harsh treatment, and dangerous conditions. Racing is not just about the race itself, it's about the relentless pressure and exploitation. We need to recognize that the lives of these animals are worth far more than human entertainment. This was just not an unfortunate incident. It was another preventable death in an industry that treats animals as disposable. The only way to truly protect horses is to end racing altogether.
Absolutely, Rick. These animals are treated as commodities, and accidents like this remind us of how fragile their lives are when they're constantly under human pressure. Horses like King Kirk are often deprived of a natural existence, and their short lives are focused on performance, not well-being. We need to question why these practices are still accepted and work towards a future where no animals are exploited for human gain.
It's also important to highlight the lack of oversight and accountability in these industries. Too often when accidents happen, they're brushed aside as freak occurrences, rather than symptoms of a systematic problem. Horses deserve better. They deserve safety, compassion, and the chance to live a natural life. Moving on from horse racing, let's talk about another issue that's close to my heart: Australia's wildlife. Queensland's Department of Environment and Science has launched a campaign urging drivers to slow down for dingoes. The slogan is, "Leave tyre tracks, not dead animals."
I love that message, Rick. It's a stark reminder of the human impact on wildlife. Wildlife roadkill is such a devastating issue, especially here in Australia. We're talking about thousands of animals killed every year. All of them face the risk of crossing roads that cut through their habitats. And it's not just about the individual animals. These road deaths can have a significant impact on local populations, especially for endangered species.
Exactly, and it's about human responsibility. We're the ones invading their territories, and the least we can do is take measures to reduce harm. It's not just about driving slower, it's also about better road planning, more wildlife crossings, and public awareness. Slow down, be mindful, and give wildlife the space they deserve. I think campaigns like this are so crucial in making people understand the real impact they have on the natural world. It's about respecting the lives of beings who have just as much right to be here as we do.
I think it's worth noting that this kind of awareness can make a real difference. It's one of those small actions we can take that has a big impact. If we can prevent even one animal from being hit, it's worth it. Speaking of wildlife protection, let's talk about an exciting new development. The International Fund for Animal Welfare has announced the use of advanced AI technology to help disrupt the wildlife trade. This is a major leap forward in tackling a very complex and global issue.
This is really innovative. AI can sift through vast amounts of data to identify illegal activity, whether it's tracking social media posts or scanning online marketplaces for listings of endangered species. Wildlife trade is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's notoriously difficult to combat due to its underground nature. The use of AI allows us to be proactive rather than reactive. It can help authorities catch perpetrators before they do irreparable damage.
Absolutely, Rick. Anything that can put a dent in the illegal exploitation of animals is a win. These technologies also help bridge the gap where human resources fall short. There simply aren't enough people to monitor every transaction or every post, but AI can help cover that ground. This kind of work is essential in saving species on the brink of extinction.
And let's not forget, public education is also crucial. Letting people know that buying exotic animals or products made from endangered animals fuels this horrific industry. We all have a role to play in ending the illegal wildlife trade.
IFAW also recently published their top 10 animal victories of 2024, and what a list it is! From banning fur sales in new regions to shutting down illegal wildlife markets, these victories give us hope. One that really stands out is the growing number of jurisdictions banning fur sales.
It's so inspiring to see the collective efforts of activists paying off. One that stood out to me was the successful relocation of Madhubala, an elephant who's been reunited with her sisters after 15 years of living in captivity. Elephants are highly intelligent and social animals, and being separated from family can cause deep psychological trauma.
That story gave me goosebumps. Elephants are such social beings, and reuniting with family after so long must be incredible for her. This shows the impact of advocacy. Sometimes it takes years, but the results are worth it. The persistence of these activists and organisations like IFAW makes these reunions possible. These victories remind us that while progress can be slow, it's happening. Every life saved, every animal freed matters.
It also shows that we need to keep pushing for systematic changes, like ending captive breeding programs and making sanctuaries the new standard for animals rescued from abusive situations. We need more Madhubalas out there, reunited and living with dignity.
Of course, being an activist comes with some challenges too. We've recently heard about Tash Peterson, the Perth-based animal rights activist who's been fined over $200,000 in a defamation case against a vet clinic. This is a significant setback for her and for the movement. While not everyone agrees with Tash's activism tactics, I think we can all say that a $200,000 fine is rather excessive.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Activism often puts people in a line of fire, whether it's legal trouble or public backlash. Tash is known for her bold actions, and while it's brought attention to important issues, it's also made her a target. But it's important to remember that these are the risks taken by those willing to speak out against cruelty. People like Tash put themselves out there because they believe in a greater cause than themselves.
It's hard, but it also shows the lengths that some people will go to defend the status quo. There's always pushback when you're challenging deeply ingrained systems of exploitation. It's all the more reason why we need to keep pushing for systemic change, so activists aren't forced to bear the burden alone. We need better laws to protect animals and those who defend them.
On another note, an interesting post from Peter listed 80 reasons to go vegan. It's a reminder that there are countless reasons to make the switch: animal protection, health, the environment, even global pandemics. Every choice matters.
Exactly, Rick. When you break it down, there's really no argument against veganism. And speaking of health, Plant-Based News highlighted a study showing that plant-based alternatives are significantly healthier than their animal-based counterparts. The study pointed out lower cholesterol, fewer saturated fats, and a reduced risk of lifestyle diseases like diabetes and heart disease.
I think the health aspect is such a good bonus, especially in today's world where chronic health issues are so prevalent. Going vegan is fundamentally a result of recognizing animal rights, but it's also good for us and it's good for the planet. What's not to love? Changing topic, the Vegan Society in the UK has raised an interesting debate. Is cultivated meat vegan? Their position is veganism as a philosophy is concerned with ending the exploitation of and cruelty to non-human animals. As such, it's understandable that some vegans may be drawn to the possibilities of this technology. However, as our policy position makes clear, cultured meat is not vegan.
It's definitely a debate worth having. Cultivated meat will certainly reduce animal slaughter if it becomes mainstream. However, if cultivated meat still relies on initial animal cells or any form of animal testing, then it can't be fully vegan as we haven't truly removed animals from the equation.
I think it's also about the messaging. We don't want to send mixed signals about what veganism stands for. The goal isn't fewer animals killed, it's about none. It's about total liberation. But cultivated meat isn't really targeted at vegans as the main consumers. While it may be a step towards reducing harm for those who currently eat animal products, it's not the end game. We need to keep our vision clear and continue advocating for solutions that involve no harm or exploitation whatsoever. However, something to remember, the rise of cultured meat could also mean the end of the companion animal agriculture, pet food industry, because cultured meat could be used for our animal companions. This would actually put a huge dent in the whole animal agriculture industry and would mean so many less animals being killed. If the people who are making the cultured meat do it as ethically as possible, for example, like Magic Valley down in Victoria, where they take just the tiniest cell scraping and then they produce their meat, then for animal companions, I think that that is a good thing. So technically, yes, cultured meat is not vegan. However, there can be a really good upside to the use of cultured meat for our animal companions.
All right, Rick, let's pivot to something uplifting. London has just been named the most vegan-friendly city in the world.
It's heartwarming to see cities making strides in vegan inclusivity. More restaurants, more options, more people embracing a cruelty-free lifestyle. London has really set a standard for what's possible, and it's proof that demand for vegan options is only growing. It gives us hope for what other cities can do, and it's a great example of what happens when businesses listen to consumer demand for ethical choices.
I long for the day that an Australian city is deemed the most vegan-friendly city in the world.
And that wraps up today's episode, folks. We've covered a lot of ground, the heartbreaking realities of the animal world, the fight against wildlife crime, and some really incredible wins for animals.
Right, Rick. And just a reminder, for every sad story, there's also hope. We're part of a growing movement that is changing the world one small victory at a time.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us here on the Vegan Compass podcast. Stay hopeful, stay compassionate, and as always, stay vegan.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Vegan Compass podcast, unveiling truths, inspiring change.
Be sure to follow us on social media at @thevegancompass_podcast. See you next time.